Hey everybody, this is On Screen, Off Screen, show where we like to talk about our week's media intake, how it impacts our lives, and how we impact what we're consuming. We've got Conlon, Lauren, and myself here this week. Lauren's not going to be with us next week because she's doing something cool, I guess. Lame. I'm going to go ahead.
I thought you were saying that like we're axing her. She's not gonna be with us anymore. We said a hit
It's
out.
definitely a threat, not a comment. Um,
Here we go, talking all the things that we love to know, from books to movies, games we replay, taking what we see and bringing it our way. On screen, come along.
I'm going to burn through my topics, and then we've got a shared topic, and then a final shared topic. So, first one is going to be really quick. It is a little game called Species Unknown. This is a little multiplayer online game, and if I were to pick a game for the three of us to play together, it would be this game. I think there's enough strategy and complexity to certain things that Conlon would be involved. And I also think that there's a competitive silliness to it that Lauren would have a great time with it as well. Um, Basic premise is you are astronaut guys and you select missions where you go out and you board this ship, you accomplish a task, and then you try and leave. And right now there are 8 random monsters that could spawn. And depending on the monster that spawns, you have different difficulties with it. Like there's one that will attack you if you look at it. There's one that's like a little flying orb robot thing that will kill you once it charges up. There's one like that's like super creepy and like crawls around. There's one that like hides in the vents, and if you walk under a vent, it will shoot down and poison you. And like zombies that you have to fight. It's still an alpha, but the good news is they're adding more maps and more things. And the entire time I've been playing it with my friend Josh. Uh, I was thinking like if they had like an alien isolation level where like there were no lights on and you had to like hide and this like monster is like hunting you as you're trying to get through this thing and you can't really fight back. I would be like Colin would absolutely love this game, but I think even now it would just be a fun time for all three of us. I think Conlon would have a pretty good time with it. I think Lauren would have a pretty good time with it. I don't think it's like spectacular in any way, but like it is in alpha and like more content, multiplayer, horror comedy is something that Lauren at least likes watching clips of on TikTok, and it has the
What's
interaction and
the
stuff.
horror multiplayer game that you played that I feel like everybody was into, Lauren? You played with your brothers?
Lethal Company.
Yeah, is it Lethal Company vibes or is it more like Left 4 Dead vibes?
It's alien isolation vibes. Like that is the
It is
closest
AC,
thing I
okay.
have to it. Not quite because like it is the multiplayer. There is some silliness to it. You have the ability to communicate locally or via radio chat. So like my first interaction with the game was knowing nothing about it. Josh told me to buy it. I went into incognito mode on Steam, bought it and downloaded it, and joined their game without telling them that that's what I was doing as I ran around this ship having no idea what's going on and chasing them. And I was like, I see you. And they're like, some rando just joined our private server, kick him off. And it's a good time. It's fun. Like, it's a fun little game. It needs more content, needs more work, but it's still an alpha, and they're planning on doing it. So that's cool. It would be fun to
That's
play.
cool.
All right, and then for my next topic, it is a show from Apple TV called Widow's Bay. It came out this year. It came on my radar because it's like people talk about it being good, but in context of like other shows, it's never like mainstream popular. Um, but Apple knocked it out of the park. They did it again. Um, it is a horror comedy, um, which is not my thing at all. I think that there has never been good horror comedy before until
Zombieland.
this. It's more comedy than horror. Like this one genuinely has scenes that freak you out.
Okay.
This show has an episode that I was sitting on the edge of my seat with high anxiety, immediately laughing, and then going back to a horror sequence.
Hmm.
It is very unique in its pacing and storytelling. Um, Lauren, you might like it because it's thriller horror. It's not like body horror, gruesome or monstery. Um, Conlon, I think you should absolutely give this a try. I don't want to predict because, like, I just don't know with this one because it is in my mind just completely isolated in an equal like horror comedy thing. There's a sequence like people say episode three. This show really takes off. For me, episode three was really really slow, and I didn't like it as much. So like there's no like consensus on it, but if you've seen The Fog, it's that basic pres-
Premise.
premise of The Fog, but added and made better and just more interesting and whatever. Group of
Mm.
people living on an island. Mayor wants to make the island a tourist destination, but the fog is incoming. And insert crazy old guy who's worried about everything going wrong, and everybody's gonna die. It's I would say it's in between The Fog and Storm of the Century in terms of like plot and things, but I really really enjoyed this show. I thought they knocked it out of the park. I was very very frustrated because I thought I was late to the party, but it turns out I was had started watching it one day after the second to last group, so I had to wait a week and a half just to watch the last episode, which they had waited. And that whole time I was sitting there like, what are they gonna do with this? What is gonna happen with this? Plot wise, it's pretty predictable, but their performances, everybody knocks it out of the park. Like I said, there are scenes where I'm genuinely feeling the anxiety of horror, that thriller aspect, and then immediately laughing because it's genuinely really funny. And it can flip flop so uniquely, weirdly. I don't know how else to describe the like. It is a special, unique show. I really like it.
I'll try it. I'll try it. It's one that's been on my radar, but yeah, I'll try it.
Um, so yeah, I'm gonna give it an 8.5. It's been greenlit for another 2 seasons, so there is still more to come. It doesn't answer all of the questions by the end. I think they pace it really well and gave themselves an opportunity for it. Not my all-time favorite Apple TV show, but the fact that like Apple TV has delivered Severance and Ted Lasso and Shrinking as like such a weird
Night Bird.
thing that Apple is just doing, and they're doing such a good job with just like these obscure shows. Um, I'm really, really liking it. But yeah, Colin, absolutely give it a shot. May like it, may not like it. Like horror comedy is a difficult thing to get right. And I don't know. Lauren, if you're curious about it, give it a shot. If not, I wouldn't.
Is it on Plex?
Yeah.
Okay, I might try it and then yell at you when I get scared. And I
There
can't
are
sleep.
some genuinely scary things. For sure. There is
I'll-
definitely a person or thing breaking into a woman's home and chasing her through the town with a knife scene that is genuinely really, really freaky.
I will definitely call you up every time I wake up from a nightmare, scream in your ear, and then hang up.
For sure do that. That'd be great. Then I'd be like, hey, she's watching the show.
Why is she calling me every 5 minutes?
So,
Cool.
All right.
I'll try.
this like I said, this is like if you're curious. I want to remove myself from responsibility because you like horror thrillers is a very touchy thing for you, so I don't want to be like watch it or don't watch it. But it's like it doesn't break any of the rules, so I think I'm good there. Um,
Other than it's scary.
Other than it's got some good thriller scenes, I'm gonna put it that way. Some thriller scenes. But yeah, most of the show is just the psychology of like this incoming fog doom stuff, and I think they do a really good job with that. Okay, we're gonna hit a shared topic. This one's shared between Conlon and Lauren. We're gonna start with Lauren because I'm honestly just more curious on her thoughts on it. So
Okay. So, Josh watched this before. It's Remarkably Bright Creatures. Um, I have to mention that um, somebody had rated it, and their comment made me laugh so hard that they're like, I didn't even watch this movie, but I just put it as a 5 because they got Doc Ock to voice the octopus. I was like, I didn't even realize that.
I literally was going to bring up that exact comment.
It's so funny to me. But yeah, I really enjoyed this movie. It was really funny because I caught on to the plot twist that Josh mentioned immediately. I was like, so Lewis is her grandson, right? And Josh was like, "Oh, you caught on to that real quick." I was like, "Yeah." There was like something about like them. What happened? Uh, Something about her son wanting like liking a girl, and she's like, "What girl?" And I was like, "Ah, the girl got pregnant. I know. He's the boy." Immediately. But I really enjoyed like I wish I could live in that town and I want her house. It was gorgeous. Um, and I love like it was so funny because Josh mentioned that I would like this because she's a cleaning lady. Not just that she's a cleaning lady,
hold
but a
on,
cleaning lady at
hold
night.
on. I didn't say you would like it. I said you would relate to it.
Oh, okay.
Relate to it.
Um, Correct. It's so funny because um I would clean sometimes in a science building that had a lot of like the animals. So there was like rabbits and they had some chinchillas, snakes, all these things. And like I would like going and cleaning in there and I would like talking to the animals. And so it was like really funny when she was like venting to the octopus and everything. And I'm like, oh my gosh, that's so me. And then there was one part where um, at the job that I was working at, it was under construction, and we had some stray cats just in the building, living in the building, and bats and everything. And I'm definitely someone who just will talk to the animals like they're humans. Uh, and so I love that she was like venting to it. And then when you have Lewis, he's like, "This is so dumb." And she's like, "No, you have to clean these a certain way." And I was like, "Yeah, everybody knows you have to. There's a certain way of cleaning things, or it doesn't get clean." When she's like, "You have to do circles," and I was like, "Well, actually, you need to have a microfiber, and you need this, but who am I to say?" um, so it was really funny. I loved how you have that dynamic of her getting to kind of raise him in a way with the aquarium, uh, and like I cried when she took Marcellus out to the ocean, and she's like, "Oh, be free, my friend!" Just like lost it, and I was glad that like because I could see the twist happening, and I was like, when is that going to happen? But then when he started dating the other girl, who she's like, he finds out she's a mom, and I was like, wait, did I get it wrong? Is that kid the kid? But then when Josh was like, "Oh, you caught on to it," I was like, "Oh, I did catch on. We're good." um, but yeah, I I also thought it was funny when he's like, "Yeah, you're my dad," and he's like, "Oh no, nope, I'm not. I was her best friend. She was my beard." And I was like, "Dang it, there's so many things to relate to here." But I really enjoyed this movie. I was glad I watched it. It was a very like good feel movie, and like um how she was like struggling with trying to be like stay where she was, but also wanting to like keep her independence, but like growing older. And there's like that scene at the end when they had everybody over for like a barbecue or whatever, and it's like that's like the dream right there. It's just like have all your close friends and family over for a barbecue, and everybody's like helping everybody. Like when she finally got to talk to one of her friends who was like, "Look, she's like, I'm struggling too," and she's like, "My life isn't all sunshine and rainbows. Like we're all kind of struggling here, and we all want to help you anyway." And it was like such a nice moment to have like that thing of realizing outside of yourself that other people struggle and like you need community and things like that. So anyway, really love this movie. It's very good. I'm glad. I'm glad Josh was like, everybody, homework. Because it was good.
How good? What's your rating on it?
I would say it's a 9.
Pretty close to what I thought you'd think. Okay, Conlon, let's hear your thoughts on it.
Okay. I have to be the bearer of bad news.
Well, we'll
This
just
movie
mute you.
is great. I really, really like this. I like this a lot, a lot. I figured it out when the octopus was like, the the girl and the boy share a similar heart condition. I was like, oh, okay, cool. So
Yeah,
that's
when
grandson.
he was like touching both when Marcellus was touching them both when they put him back in the
Yeah.
tank. Yeah,
Yep. Yep. And I liked the visuals on Marcellus was really, really good, like him drying out. I was very impressed with that aspect, and the way that they would rehydrate him in real time was visually looked fantastic. I think that both of the actors do a very good job. Um, I like I like the date scene with Lewis Pullman and the girl. My one probably like real complaint with the show is it was a little bit too Romeo and Juliet. Like I wish they would have gone on a few more dates and then the big reveal comes that she has a teenage kid and it causes that breakup. Like I think that would have been better for the story, but it's not that big a deal. I'm nitpicking at things. Um I think that their relationship, the way that it forms, is very authentic. It felt very real. She never feels not like an old lady. He never feels not like a punk. But they change in those aspects. Like they change the way they approach things while still staying true to their characters. They don't feel like they shift who they are. They shift the way that they approach what they do with who they are, which I really appreciated that character work. I think that was really good. The octopus's thoughts during the movie were so good, like perfect, and the way that it was delivered felt like an alien way of thinking. Like he did such a good job with the voice delivery. It made it feel like this is a different creature observing humans instead of just a human narrator over a creature, which is extremely hard to do. I actually can't think of an area where they do it as well as they do it in this movie. I I really like this movie. There's some little nitpicks here and there, but there's not a lot of them. It's a really good movie. I would rewatch it again. There's one, I think that what's the main girl's name? Sally Field. I haven't seen her in forever, but she did such a good job of being Sally Field as an old lady, which I know sounds weird, but a lot of old actors I feel like play themselves as being younger, but they're not young anymore, or they get too tropey with being old. This one didn't feel that way. It felt like an authentic grandma type character, which I appreciated so much. The character work in this movie is fantastic. Like really, really good. I want to read the book. I've heard the book is even better than the movie from a friend who has read the book before. I'm interested. It's really good. I like the ending. I like all of it. The backyard scene that Lauren was talking about is gorgeous. Like that is such a perfect backyard. I want that backyard. It's gorgeous. I want it. Um, yeah, it's just really good. I I am a big fan, and I felt it was so heartbreaking seeing her have to deal with the fact of like wondering if the suicide happened. Was it a suicide? Was it not? Of like of identifying with her loneliness. Of I don't have a family. I don't know where to go. I feel lost, and a lot of times I think it's hard to have the struggles of becoming older come across well in a show. I don't know exactly how to put my point is here, but I think a lot of times it becomes uh, I don't think it's displayed well. It's either like drawn out to where it feels a little bit emotionally manipulative, or it comes across a little bit over dramatic. And in this one, it felt just real and authentic. You really felt for her being alone and not really knowing what to do. The only thing she really has left is these animals. And I felt emotion when she gives away the octopus too, because it's her last friend. She doesn't think she really has anybody left. Yeah, she has the old friends that she's been around forever, but it's not the same. It's not family. This octopus is like a family member to her. She talks to it every single day. She cares for it. She loves it. She nurses it back to health. She saves its life over and over again. Like that's her family, and she doesn't think she has anybody left. And that was hard. And I think that it talked about an important part of society that is often neglected in a way that I think is often portrayed poorly. I'm actually giving this a 9, and it's a weird 9 for me because I don't think I'm going to rewatch it anytime soon, but I think it's so good in so many aspects I couldn't give it anything lower.
Very cool. I'm a little surprised by that. I thought if you liked it, it wouldn't be that high, but I'm really glad
I
that you
really
did,
liked it.
and I'm glad that you gave it a shot too. Because, like I said, I fell in love with these characters. I think that the like what Conlon said about their character work um, is exceptional with this movie, and Luz Pullman and the lady did an exceptional
Sally.
job with it. And the one thing that Conlon didn't bring up with that I relate to so well is her relationship with those other older ladies. Like there is that disconnect there where she doesn't really have that familial connection with them, and she doesn't like how they gossip, and she doesn't like the way that they talk, and she doesn't necessarily like the way that they treat other people, but she still cares about them. You know, I think that that is so overlooked and is never represented as well as somebody who can has a personal family where it's like I love them and I care about them. Man, I just don't like a lot of things about them at the same time. Um,
Something I wanted to bring up with that I forgot about. I should have written it down in my notes, but Josh is an exception, Lawrence an exception, but most of my friends have kids now. And when me and Sydney hang out with them, there is a disconnect there because we don't have kids. So we're not talking about what's going on with the kids. We're not like it's a different world. As soon as people have kids, it's different. And even I feel that a little bit with some of our friends. And it's not the same as I don't have a kid. I don't have any grandkids. I literally don't have anybody. It would just be different. It would be lonely.
yeah, for sure. All right.
I do like how nosy her friends get though when
Yeah.
they find out she's going on a date because that is so real.
Hmm.
Let me tell you, that is so freaking real, and it's annoying, but also like kind of endearing.
Yeah. Very, very good movie. Glad you both loved it. Uh, with that, we're going to go on to our next topic. This is our shared topic between all three of us. This one was Lauren's suggestion. It is The Village. So we're going to get her thoughts first. Go ahead, Lauren.
Okay, so I watched this. I was pretty young when I watched this, and it freaked me out. Um, and I like. this director, Shamalama Ding Dong, whatever his
Shelly Malong.
there you go. I know I can just say that and these guys know who I'm talking about, so I wait for them to say his real name. Um anyway, I like how he does his cinematography because with monsters and things of this, he doesn't show you the full monster. Um, and then in this movie in particular, I think one of the reasons why I really like this one is that kind of like there isn't a monster, and it shows that um, it ends up showing the monster, which is actually a suit and stuff. But it's really interesting because in the first bit, you feel like one of the villagers. You're like, there is a monster out there. These are the safe colors. These are not. Until one of the elders show this girl, they're like, look, it's not real. We do this to keep you guys in this, basically in this clearing so that we can live a life we want to live because we think it's a simpler time and this is like a better way for us to live. When they find out that one of their townspeople have been basically stabbed and they're trying to like send her off into the world. Our main person's blind, so they're like, we're gonna send her off into the world to get medicine for this dude to like save his life. She won't see what's out there, so like our village will be safe or whatever. Um, I really liked this movie because I'm very easily swayed if you have a really good soundtrack. This has a very good soundtrack. This also had a quote in it that I wanted people to watch this movie and find this quote and realize that I'd been doing that for forever. And that quote is the part where she's like, sometimes we do things be- or don't do things because we don't want other people to know we want to do them. And so like for a lot of time in my life, like as a kid, I would hide a lot of stuff. Like, I remember I would pretend like I liked one person so people would tease me about that person instead of the person I actually liked. So it wouldn't hurt me as much when people would tease me about it. Um, and I used to do like redirect a lot of stuff as like a kid. And I realized that was like really unauthentic when I got older and I was keeping people from getting to know me and like actually knowing me and stuff because I was so scared of being bullied and people knowing who I actually was. So I find myself sometimes still doing that, but not as much as I did as a kid, and not as like consciously. But this was why for forever this was like one of my favorite movies was because I wanted somebody to pick out that little thing and see me. Um, but nobody did, of course, because that's very obscure and who would? um, and I love the scene where she is waiting for the guy she likes and she's holding out her hand and she believes that there's a monster out there and she's like waiting for him so that she can take him to safety. And it's like such a really good scene when you can see her hand holding out and then you can see like the shadow of the monster's hand like coming to get her, but then he grabs her hand, takes her inside, and the music is just great and it's just a beautiful scene. Um, and then I just feel really bad for the special boy when you find out that he was just jealous and really liked her. And it's really heartbreaking, even though he, ends up stabbing our dude, our love interest. But he's he's simple, and it's yeah. Anyway, I really like this movie. I would give it still like probably an 8, but yeah, there we go.
All right, Conlon, let's hear what you have to say on this.
I am very polarized and conflicted on this movie, to be completely honest. Um, I would have bet $1 billion that I had seen this before. I 100% thought I had seen this before. I had not seen this before. I was wrong. I thought, and I don't know why I thought this, but I thought the twist was that people on the outside were like doing an experiment on these people, and that's where the monster costumes came from. I don't know why this idea was in my head. This is what I thought this movie was. I don't even know what movie I'm thinking of. I don't know if it's a book. I don't know. But I thought it was an experiment to watch people live in the olden ways, and they had like the monsters to keep them out of the woods to corral them, which I actually like that idea more than that the cult is doing it themselves, because we're supposed to identify with the cult member in the story and we're supposed to like the cult member, but I don't like the cult member. So I'll backtrack because I think the first half of this movie is actually brilliant. Like I love the first half of this movie. The build of tension, the cinematography is gorgeous. It's beautiful. I think this is some of the best cinematography I've ever seen. I would go that high. Like I really think it's good. Um, I think the acting is phenomenal again for the first half. I think the guy who plays the autistic or whatever he is boy is so freaking good. Like it's crazy. I would believe that he was autistic. 100% would believe it. Very, very well done. Um, what's her name who plays the blind girl? What's her name? What's her name?
Oh, oh gosh, I need this. But someone's gonna look it up.
Yes. I mean the stack for the cast for this is so stacked. It's crazy.
Yeah, you
Bryce
have
Dallas
Joaquin
Howard.
Phoenix.
Bryce Dallas Howard does a good job of keeping her eyes in the exact same spot no matter what. Like it just stays there. There's times where she's in the woods. This is something that impressed me later on, and she's falling and stuff, but her eyes just stay the same. And I was so impressed with that. Like there's so many little details that they get right in this show that are really really good. The part where Lauren talked about it, where she gets pulls him inside was great. The music were like I felt tension there. I thought the monsters were fake. I was like, but there's so much tension. Let's go. Then we get about halfway through the movie. I like the Judy Greer stuff. I really really like the first half of this movie. Then we get the second half of the movie. The guy gets stabbed. Cinematography on that is fantastic. He turns around, it pans to the knife, it pans to his face, it falls. He stabs, and just like slowly moves away. I don't feel bad for the autistic kid because he murdered somebody and I kind of hate him. But he goes and he's got bad color, great writing, fantastic writing, really liked it. But then nothing happens to the kid. And I was like, what in the hell? I don't like this.
They locked him up.
Yeah, but I like it should be worse than that. It should
Well,
be
they
worse
were
than
trying to decide
murder
what to
somebody.
do with him when they locked him up. But
Yeah, I don't know. I wanted more. It bugged me. It bugged me a lot. And then you find out that the monsters are fake and they've been lying to their people and keeping them in a setting, which I'm cool with that idea. But I wish they would have revealed it in a different order. Because you get this and then you're with Bryce Dallas Howard and she walks into the woods and there's a monster that shows up. And the monster is incredibly lame because it like runs past her and does nothing. I'm like, what did she's blind? You couldn't even get her? Like what are you doing? And if I didn't know the monsters were fake at that point, I would feel more tension, but I'm like, it's fake. Wait, is it not fake? Is it a real monster? What's going on? It like cut the tension of that entire scene, and I think it was a bad way of presenting the movie. I don't think it was smart. I don't think it was well directed. I don't think it was well written. You switch the two aspects so that you have that monster scene, and then it cuts back to her figuring out that the monsters aren't real. That would have been a lot more tension for the viewer. We keep going forward, and she gets outside of this enclosure. They explain why nobody's found this village that is in the middle of the woods because they've worked really hard to get rid of all the planes and all that blah 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 blah. In the 21st century, 20th century, wherever it's supposed to take place. I don't know if I kind of believe that. I think that people would probably see a village that's in the woods. I think it would be found out. But I can kind of like, sure. Then my mind immediately goes to, well, how the heck did they build all those houses? It's in the middle of the woods. Did they smuggle the wood? I want to know all the answers to this because it doesn't feel like I can buy that this existed. And like, how did they make the suits? Were they like, yeah, let's go live in the woods and traumatize our children with suits? And I'm supposed to root for those people, I guess. I don't I don't know. And then we get to the cop that is happens to be in the perfect spot when she jumps the fence somehow. And the cop is like, "Wait, do you live there? Oh, is somebody hurt? Okay, let me just go steal some drugs and like give them to you so that you can hop back the fence, and I'll provide a ladder conveniently." That yay! Um, and like all of this is kind of dumb. Like none of this is good, but it also isn't so bad that it makes me hate the movie. I sound like I'm really negative on it, but these are negative aspects to a movie that I don't think is a bad movie. He goes and steals the drugs, and the guy's reading his magazine, and he's like looking at him while he's stealing drugs. And the guy's not very sly at all, but he's like, okay, take the drugs. I can see what you're doing. I don't know. And that person is Shamalanga Ding Dong. He's the one who's reading the magazine. But you have the exposition dump because the story doesn't flow super well with the reveal of what's actually going on. So you have him reading the magazine being like, all exposition, exposition, exposition. And I think it's a little too much exposition dump, and it doesn't feel as good as something like Signs, which I absolutely love, which has a very similar plot structure, but the reveals are more tactful. I am very conflicted on this movie. Obviously, there's a lot of good. There, in my opinion, there's quite a bit of bad. I am glad that I watched it. It is a movie that I would watch again, so I'm going to give it like a 6.5, right in that range, because there's a lot of good, and it's worth watching. It's just messy, and it could have been better. This could have been truly great. It's just not.
Very interesting. Very, very interesting. I'm going to say three words I absolutely love saying. I absolutely love saying these words. Conlon, you're
What?
wrong. You're
Okay.
absolutely, absolutely wrong on your criticisms. Going in reverse order, your complaint is about the security guards. They're private security. Speaking as somebody in private security, yes, they are that dumb. Yes, they are that incompetent. Yes, they do not care that much.
Would they
And
steal
people watch
drugs
our
and just give it
podcast.
to a random
Yes.
girl that just came out of the woods?
Yes. This girl, she's clearly blind. She looks like she's
They
from
would
the
steal.
Pilgrim era. She's attractive and you have the pity for her, and it's like I could either do a bunch of paperwork and cause a big shit show out of this, or I could help her out and maybe she'll give me a kiss. Yeah, security guards are that freaking stupid. Anybody who sits around and going like, I feel so secure, this property has security, I'm like, you idiots, they're so stupid. They are the bottom of the barrel individuals. Like, put your faith in higher places, please, because oh my gosh, they're so dumb. Yes. Um, would he give her a ladder and put in that extra effort? Absolutely, because not only are security guards that dumb, guys are that dumb. You and I
You
worked in a
don't think
car dealership together,
that's
and
true?
you
Like,
guys made fun of me because when a pretty girl would come in, I would put in the extra effort to get her out of there faster and quicker and with better customer services than I would other people.
that's a for sure
It's
thing. Yes,
people, yeah.
but if he found out that there were people living in the woods, this is a huge news story. You don't think he would want the fame at the very least?
What fame? He's gonna go to a
I
news
found a
article.
secret village of people that live in the woods.
Wow, they would talk about that for all of 5 minutes. He wouldn't make any money off of it. He wouldn't. Yeah, he might get on the news. Yeah, but like as soon as they figured out that it was the owner of the property, Walker, whatever, they wouldn't talk about the security guard ever again. like, um, going back from that, your complaint before that was the reveal on the monster. I strongly disagree on that because when the monster shows up in the wood, it's not, is it a monster? It is, who is it? I made the assumption that, like, for this to have worked, these people had to have killed somebody. Otherwise, the fear in the town wouldn't be there. Somebody had to have gone missing. Something bad had to have happened. So my
Which he
thought
does mention earlier
process
in the
was
movie.
not like, is that a monster? Should I be feeling that fear of that? It is, who's in the suit. And to me, revealing that it was the special needs guy, who I agree did a phenomenal performance, was the shock. Because I thought it was a council member, and I thought he was going to kill her to keep the secret. So for us to have that knowledge, that worked for me. Um, the point before that, I don't remember exactly what it was, but you were talking about her blindness. I thought she did an exceptional job of being blind when she needed to do an exceptional job of being blind, because at the beginning of the movie, I was like, she's not really acting like a blind person. And I'm not entirely sure she is blind. And then, like, we get to parts, those scenes where she's running through the forest or whatever. She does such a good job with it in her eyes, and you're like, yeah, she does a great job when she needs to do it. But at the beginning of the movie, I wasn't completely sold on her performance of that. Um,
Okay.
but yeah, I actually had a very unique watching experience with this because I actually watched it in 3 or 4 separate chunks. And having finished watching it, my thought is, yeah, this should be a mini series. It should not be a continuous movie. Because
I
there
agree with
was
that.
times where we would get plot, and I just liked sitting with it. It wasn't intentional. I always had something go up, or I had to go to work, or I got tired and wanted to go to sleep, or whatever. But the fact that I watched it in chunks, I think, did great work for me because then I was able to sit with each individual chunk, and I really enjoyed watching it that way. Um, my very first thought about this movie is that Jesse Eisenberg?
Yeah.
Because he's just sitting at the table. And I was like, is that him? I literally
He
Googled,
has like 3 lines.
why is Jesse Eisenberg in this movie? And AI was like, he's not. And then I was like, he's in it. He just said she's returned or whatever. And AI was like, oh yeah, it was one of his first roles. And I was like, okay, that's how small his role was. He was like, AI didn't even recognize that he was in this movie. Um, but yeah, uh, going over to Lauren's comments, that particular line hit home with me in a slightly different way than it did Lauren. Growing up, um, being one of the younger kids in my family, it was not cool or acceptable to be excited about things. It wasn't cool to be excited about Christmas. It wasn't cool to be excited about this or that. So I had developed the habit of pretending like I didn't care, because if they knew I was excited or wanted to do it, I would get called out, made fun of, degraded, whatever, because who would want to be excited about that thing? And that's not something I've really necessarily grown out of either, because that's just very corely one of my core things. Just like, it's not cool to be excited. So, um, while I didn't look at that and see Lauren like I think she might have wanted to, I looked at that scene and I saw myself. So, um, in that, I can relate to Lauren. in a pretty cool way. Um, I am so very thankful to Lauren for having me watch this movie specifically for that line, the way it is delivered, the way that there's an impact with it, the way that it ties in with the music. It feels like a heavy moment, and that could just be me relating to it that well. But this movie has so many good things. We've already called out the scene where she's sticking out her hand. To me, that was the ultimate, like, I have faith in this person. The way he struggles with what his role in society is, what his role in this community is, and can he provide for her, and can he step up to that plate and having those concerns, him addressing it and her respecting it before they decide to actually take that next step to be romantic. Um, I had a problem with her little sister because her love confession, I was like, holy crap, dude, take a chill pill. What a wild swing to take. You just told your dad 5 minutes ago you decided to like this guy. And now you're out there declaring. And then they made it a joke, which is, a very good thing because if I believed that like she was fully that way, I'd be like, whoo. Um, Going on to the last criticism I believe Conlon had on relating to this community, I think they knocked it out of the park. I know Lauren has a desire to go out in the middle of the woods and be a witch and have a cauldron and say, screw you, society. I think that is what we're supposed to be relating to. And as a person who intentionally doesn't watch the news, that is something extremely relatable to, right? Like they themselves had bad things happen to them which led them to not want it. But like for me, it was the news of everything was bad all of the time. And this was in the 2000s where I don't think that was necessarily the case, but I think that's 100% true today. Like turn on any news program. It used to be like local news, you might get some positive stories. Now everything is just doom and gloom and crap all of the time because it sells, because it's popular, because it draws attention. And like I think that was the message in this movie. That's what I got out of it, and I think they knocked it out of the park. Do I root for them? No, not necessarily, because what they're doing to their children is extremely screwed up. I'm a big believer in freedom of choice, and they're taking choice away. But do I relate to that desire of to just cut yourself off from society entirely because humankind seems really dark and gloomy? Right now, we have the World Cup going on. And Lauren and I have been talking about how cool it is to see Europeans try American stuff for the first time. But I'm also seeing a bunch of people being like, I've been raised to believe that they don't have freedom or that gun violence is a big prominent thing or that America isn't safe or that they're racist or they don't have freedom of speech or whatever. But like I've literally been seeing a ton of media that's like, I love that people are coming to the conclusion that the politicians and the news media are the problem and the people are actually genuinely really cool. And if everybody just got out of the way, we'd probably have a better society. And like, that's the message of this movie, too, in a way. It's like, if we didn't have politicians and greed and finances, like the desire to cut that out, it might actually have a better human community, too. I don't know. I really, really, really liked this movie, especially the way I watched it. I don't know if I would have loved it necessarily as much if I watched it in one sitting like these two did, but the way that I did end up watching it, it was unique and cool, and I absolutely loved it.
I'm glad you liked
Trey.
it. And I'm glad you picked up on that line too, even though it was like a little bit different from than how I interpreted it. Because like I've shown this movie to so many people, and you're the first person to point out that line. So
That's super
It's
cool.
if it was such a big impactful line to it. I don't think it's represented in anything that kind of like desire to hide yourself for no apparent reason or whatever. It's very very cool. I'm honestly shocked. Lauren gave it an 8. Colin gave it a 6.5. I'm giving it a 9.8. I absolutely loved this movie. It's fantastic. I don't have any criticisms of it other than a nitpick that like I didn't necessarily buy that she was blind at the beginning of the movie. But like anytime it was important that she was blind, they did it. That performance of the special needs kid, spectacular. Visuals, spectacular. Um, Storytelling, pacing, everything. The way I watched it, spectacular. Music, spectacular. Everything.
Wow.
Oh,
So this is
I
in
think
like all-time movie territory for you?
Is it gonna break top 10? I don't know. Probably not, just because there are so many movies that I absolutely love and adore. But like, yeah, this is one I will rewatch. This is one I
Wow.
would recommend that literally everybody watches. Um, like I said, I don't have any major criticisms, just a couple of nitpicks here and there on a couple of things. But like, yeah, the plot twist wasn't super shocking for sure. I knew nothing about this movie going in. They got they call it a drama mystery. It's not even a horror or thriller. It's a drama mystery, and I think they did a great job with it.
Wow.
I don't remember if this was on my top 10 official on the podcast, but it was on my top 10 movies for years, if it wasn't in my top 10 on the
Lauren's
podcast.
top 10 movies of 2025 were Eddie the Eagle, Emperor's New Groove, Brother Bear, Corpse Bride, Stardust, Austin Land, How to Train Your Dragon, Thunderbolt, Secret Life of Walter Mitty, and Fellowship of the Ring.
Mm. It must have, yeah,
Must
it
have
must have
just
just
slipped
barely,
off, yeah. I
yeah,
for
because it used to
sure
be top.
top 50, top 25 fish range. I don't. There's so many good movies. I don't know exactly where to put it in that kind of a ranking, but like
That is wild.
quality is great. Is this my favorite M Night Shyamalan movie? Shyamalama Ding Dong. Absolutely, it is.
Yeah,
It's great.
yeah. I think it was my top 10 in my top 10 for so long just because it's so relatable for me. And the music score, like I said, the if this movie was crap, it'd still be top 10 because of music.
It's so good.
That is super cool, guys. I debated raising it up a little bit. I would not be in the that range. No, but just because I read a review from a girl who was in a cult, and she was like, "This was one of the most remarkably." It felt like the way that I grew up shows I've ever seen, and that made me want to like it more. But I'm also not the one that went through that experience. But I do think it's cool that somebody who grew up in that situation felt a lot of similarities and was able to connect with this movie that way.
It's a good one.
It's super good. Everybody should watch it. It's very, 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 very good. Loved it. Okay. Thank you everybody for watching and or listening. Super appreciate every single one of you. If you have any recommendations of anything you want us to watch, please, please, please let us know. And remember to have a good day and remember to be better today than you were yesterday. Bye.
Bye.
See you guys.